Hey guys, it's Pat with American Adventure Lab. Welcome back. We have another install video for you today. Today we're going to be installing our LBE, Load-Bearing Enclosure. This is our half cab height all aluminum enclosure that mounts to the Gladiator bed. It does have to be used in conjunction with the JT bed rails. It is only for the Gladiator at the moment. We're going to be going through this step by step. There is a lot to do here. There is a lot of hardware, and the instructions are very detailed. Very key in the amount of tools that you need. Very simply, a power drill is going to be your friend, or a impact gun with an H4 4mm driver, a 10mm, and a 13mm wrench. Because this is so large in scale, it is going to require the use of a friend, or in this case, a reasonable facsimile. As we get going, we'll go through this step by step in the different categories, starting with the front bed, but there are a lot of things that need to go along with this, primarily weather stripping and just kind of placing in different areas. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the main structure comes in several different pieces, and it's basically what you're going to start with. One is going to be the front wall. There'll be some weather stripping that attaches to this. This will actually mount to the front wall of the bed first, and then we'll move to the driver and passenger side walls. These are going to go on next, and they also will have weather stripping attached to them, both on the bottom edges here, between the bed rail system and the bottom of the enclosure wall. We have some that goes on the top as well. This will be our rear hatch. This is hinged with a long stainless steel piano hinge. We have some latches, and there's kind of a positive security system that goes in here. The way this works with the tailgate, your tailgate's actually going to fold up underneath here and creates a lock. As you know, the tailgates do lock on the Gladiators, so this is kind of a foolproof way to keep people out. We have our roof panels. There are 3 roof panels in total. Each one of those will start to go on in place once we get the 2 walls and the front wall in place. So we have a lot of interior pieces to this, as well as exterior pieces. And one of the things that gives the LBE the bearing aspect of the enclosure is the inner skeleton that goes inside. These are basically the struts that will mount to the walls on the inside. We have an overhead piece that will support that as well. So there's 2 rows of that. Then we have the bed rack, which is kind of acts as like an exoskeleton and allows us to secure more things to the top, making the load-bearing aspect of it even stronger. Many accessories, many moving parts to this. There's a lot going on here. So we're gonna go ahead, go through, start getting our weather stripping in place, and then we'll start moving forward with getting parts on the truck. The first step in getting the LBE started is the front wall. It is basically the cornerstone of this entire install. We're going to be using the 4 M6 holes that are in the front wall ridge of the bed. But because we have this bed liner on here, what'll make your life a whole lot easier is the fact that we're going to go ahead and chase these to get some of the bed liner, whatever material may be on the bed, out of those threads and make our lives a little bit easier. So we'll just take a M6 tap. We've got it on a simple drill motor. You don't need to force it. Just let it do the work. Back it out. Now you got clean threads. All right, so you can see we've got our two side walls on, we've got our front wall on. They are now all attached to the bed rail system. Now we're going to start building the inner structure. This is going to be the simplest way to do this before we put the roof on. Otherwise, somebody's got to lay in there and lay on their back, which they're going to wind up doing anyway because we have all that hardware that has to be inserted and tightened. These are the inner structure braces. These are going to mount right here. And the nice thing is that our exoskeleton that we're putting on, which is basically our bed rack system, is going to mount to the outside. So those two pieces are going to sandwich this wall and create even more structure as we move forward. Again, a lot of hardware, a lot of bracing. This is our brace that will wind up crossing the roof at two places. Those will actually attach to our wall braces here, like such. And this thing's super rigid when it's all said and done. So we're gonna go ahead now and start moving towards getting that installed. Then we'll move on to putting the roof panels on. Okay, so as you can see, we've got the first of the major crossbars in here that are going to hold this whole unit together and basically give it its strength. We have the outer bed rack that mounts and sandwiches the outer wall, and then that is backed up by the actual internal rack and support system. So we have the forward one done. We're going to get it ready to set in the rear one. We have these on this side. We're going to finish this side, but one of the things we need to do is we have a molly with a pack out panel that's going to go on the other side between these two uprights. And so we want to install that first so that it makes it easier and we don't have to come back and try and have super nimble fingers that we can't get into. So that's part of the instructions. You'll see that in there. So we're going to finish this up. We'll move to this side and get that molly panel installed, and then we'll start closing up the roof. So one of the things that we did for the actual driver's side, we have a molly panel that has a pack out mount that sits between these two uprights here and here. The problem being is that it utilizes the mounting holes here and here, here and here. Once this is in place and the molly's in, it makes it virtually impossible to get in there. So what we've done is we've gone ahead and pre-assembled that unit. So now we have both uprights complete, and you can see the screws that I'm talking about. They're in here. And once these are mounted to the side of the actual LBE, these are impossible to get to. So we'll come around now when we're ready to, once our roof is installed, we can remove these two screws, which are just loosely in place, set this in place, and put all of the hardware in, and now this MOLLE panel and these uprights are complete. All right, so we finally finished the inner structure, but it goes between the walls. It's gonna hold our roof. We have this in place. This is fairly snug. We wanna kind of keep things loose because we do have to put our roof on, and we do need to have a little bit of movement there. The key to anything that we do on this scale is gonna be keeping it loose, because if we start tightening things up, then as we move forward, we start fighting the unit and we start chasing problems around in a circle. So if we keep it loose, we can kind of maneuver it to where we need it to go until we finally get all the hardware in. So now what we're going to do, we've put the weather strip on the top of the crossbars and the walls. And I'll give you a little tech tip. This was one of our in-house guys has one of these on his truck. If you have a small butane torch like this and a punch that will match the hole size, if you just get that little hot, and then you can just take that and just push that right through, it makes a nice hole, guide your hardware through, and you don't have to kind of fight it. If you don't, simple ice pick or like a Phillips screwdriver or something like that, but this makes a nice clean, kind of melts it, cauterizes it, if you will, as it goes through and doesn't actually tear the foam. So we're gonna go ahead right now. We're gonna start putting that roof on, and we're gonna button this thing up today and get it back to the customer. Okay, so we've got the roof panels on now. Again, a long process, but well worth the wait once it's all done, I promise you. So now we've got the panels on. We have a series of holes in the top that's gonna be an option for you. You don't necessarily have to do this, but this particular install, we have the outer bed rack. So this U-bracket here is threaded on all 4 holes, and it's actually gonna mount right here. We'll run the same screws we've been using throughout the entire build up through the inner cross member, through the roof panel, and ultimately into here. And this is where our bed rack cross member, outer rack, will go. And that'll mount there. And then as you saw before from our MOLLE panel that we pre-made, that is all gonna come up and tie into this. What we have left to do right now, which is what I'm going to start working on next, is getting our hinge in for the hatch, building the hatch. We have an inner MOLLE that goes on the hatch. We have a logo backing plate, and then we have the 2 latches and the gas struts. So we'll be working on that next. So we'll start moving over there right now. So we're going to go ahead and install the side uprights that'll be for the bed rack that'll go over the top. One of the things we need to do in order to do that, we need to go ahead and go around the perimeter of our roof panels and tighten those down, cinch them down to where they're going to be, where they're going to live finally. That's going to allow us to get enough play to start to get all this assembly. These uprights on the passenger side are going to hold these horizontal braces here and here. That's going to hold our side MOLLE, which is sitting over there, that goes the full length of this wall. So we're gonna go ahead and cinch this down now, get that done. We'll get these installed and start putting the U-brackets across the top. All right, we have got our bed rails across the top. Everything's nice and secure, nice and tight. Customers opted for this particular long, full length MOLLE. And so it attaches a little bit differently than just our normal covers. And so we'll go ahead and get that going. And then our final step is going to be our hatch. The reason we make the hatch the final step is that there is a lot of hardware inside, as I said early on, that we need to leave loose, because the thing kind of needs to be, for all intent purposes, needs to kind of breathe and move around as we walk around and add more things to this and complete the install step by step. So we'll go ahead, we'll install this MOLLE, and then I'll retreat to the inside and spend another 15 minutes tightening hardware. And then when we get done, we'll get the hatch in place, and then we'll have a finished product to show you. Well, the white flag, we're at turn 4. We're headed towards the checkers. The hatch is the only thing left we have to do. We have a hatch brace that goes in here that gets rid of this. We have the strut mounts, which I'm putting together right now. We have the gas struts that will go on there. And then we'll put in all the screws for the hatch, lay in the piece of weather strip that goes in here, and we're done. So stay tuned and we'll show you the final product when it's all said and finished and ready to roll. All right, well, as you can see, we have finally finished our LBE. This is, I'm not gonna lie, this is a couple days worth of work for a DIYer. I'm sure a shop would be able to handle it maybe in a day, but there is a lot to it. There's a lot to it because of what it's capable of doing. There's not a lot to it just because it's over-designed. It's designed for what it exactly means, LBE, load-bearing enclosure. There are so many extra things that you guys can load onto this thing that is just, it's endless, really. It really is. We have the molly here on the side. This is the full molly. We have the partial molly that goes between the rails on the other side. That is going to be, that one has a pack out and a small molly panel on it. Rooftop tent. You can put a rooftop tent on here. We have a roof rack that we are about to release. We have our sleeper keeper mounts. You can put your sleeper keeper on here and put your tents on here. Like I said, it's endless. If you go to our website and check it out, Load-Bearing Enclosure for the Jeep Gladiator, JT for the chassis number guys. And then also, if you're looking at doing a trailer, our ATK with the Gladiator bed, also can use the LBE and all of the accessories that go along with it. Like I said, this was a big endeavor for a DIYer, but I don't want you to be scared by it. It's just time consuming. The video that we've just completed, I think will show you in detail how to go about putting this together and should take some of the stress and the strain out of that for you. Again, I'm Pat with American Adventure Lab. This is our LBE with the long molly and the short molly. We also have our flag mount on there. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that it answers any and all questions that you might have regarding the install. Thanks for watching our install video. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe for more videos on installs, around the shop, and exciting new releases by American Adventure Lab. Don't forget to check out our website for more products and accessories to enhance your off-road experience. And if you have any questions, suggestions for future videos, leave them in the comments below. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you in the next one.